What was just delivered to me is the final 47 seconds of audio log 19, recorded at a wildlife monitoring station designated Outpost 7, located in a remote section of northern British Columbia. The woman speaking is Dr. Lena Vasek, a wildlife acoustics researcher contracted by the Canadian Wildlife Service to oversee a seasonal monitoring deployment. She was the sole occupant of the outpost. The recording was made on March 14th. Dr. Vasek was speaking into the station's primary recording system, describing what she was observing through the outpost's east-facing window. She was calm. Her voice was measured. She was not afraid. There is no fear in her voice. There is something else. Something that sounds more like recognition. And then, mid-sentence, she stops speaking. The recording continues for another 40 minutes and 11 seconds. During that time, there is no voice, no movement, no sound of a door opening or closing, no footsteps, no indication that anyone left the room or entered it. Just the equipment hum and the faint static of an open microphone in an empty room. When a maintenance crew arrived at Outpost, 11 days later for a scheduled equipment check, the station was empty. The door was closed but not locked. The recording equipment was still running. Dr. Vasek's personal belongings were inside. Her coat was on the hook. Her boots were by the door. Her vehicle, a department-issued truck, was parked in the clearing where she had left it, keys in the ignition. Dr. Vasek was not inside the outpost. She was not in the vehicle. She was not within the immediate perimeter. A search of the surrounding area found no tracks in the late winter snowpack leading away from the station. We received these audio logs 3 months ago from a source who asked not to be identified. We have not been able to independently verify the recordings, the outpost designation, or Dr. Vasek's identity. What we can tell you is that the metadata on the audio files is internally consistent, the recording quality matches the equipment specifications for remote monitoring stations used by Canadian federal agencies, and the content of the 19 logs tells a story that builds over the course of 12 days, from routine scientific fieldwork to something that I do not have a framework to explain. Log 1 is dated March 3rd, 7:14 a.m. Dr. Vasek identifies herself, states the outpost designation and her deployment dates. March 3rd through March 28th. 25 days. Solo deployment. Her assignment was to monitor and maintain an array of acoustic sensors positioned in a grid pattern across approximately 4 square kilometers of boreal forest surrounding the outpost. The sensors were recording ambient soundscapes for a study on the effects of industrial noise on caribou migration patterns. Her tone in log 1 is professional and slightly bored. She describes the equipment status, the weather, and the condition of the access road. She notes that the snowpack is deeper than the previous season, and that she had difficulty getting the truck up the final kilometer. She mentions that cell service is non-existent at the outpost, and that her only communication link is a satellite phone issued by the agency, which she tests and confirms functional. She ends the log by noting that the nearest staffed facility is a forestry camp approximately 90 kilometers to the south. 90 kilometers. In northern British Columbia. In March. That is the kind of isolation most people cannot meaningfully imagine. Logs 2 through 4, covering March 4th through March 6th, are routine. She checks the sensor array each morning, downloads data, catalogs ambient recordings. She notes standard boreal wildlife activity, ravens, a distant wolf pack, wind patterns. She comments on the quality of the acoustic data and expresses mild frustration with a sensor on the northeast perimeter that keeps dropping its connection. She fixes it on day 3. Log 5, March 7th, is the first log where something changes. She is reviewing the acoustic data from the previous night's recordings and notes that sensors 4, 5, and 6 along the eastern perimeter recorded a period of unusual silence between 2:45 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. Not low activity. Silence. Absolute silence. No wind noise. No animal calls. No ambient forest sound of any kind. 45 minutes of dead air on 3 sensors simultaneously, as if every sound source in a square kilometer of forest stopped at the same moment and resumed 45 minutes later. She flags it as an anomaly and moves on. Log 6, March 8th. The silence anomaly appeared again in the overnight data. Same sensors, same time window, 2:45 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. Same total absence of ambient sound. This time, she does not suggest equipment malfunction. She notes that 3 sensors experiencing identical silence windows on consecutive nights is statistically unlikely to be coincidental. Log 7, March 9th. The silence window appeared for the 3rd consecutive night. Same sensors, same time. But this log contains something new. Dr. Vasic states that she was awake at approximately 3:15 a.m. because she had gotten up to use the bathroom. While awake, she heard a sound from outside the outpost. A tapping, a rhythmic low tapping on the exterior east wall of the station. Not wind, not a branch. A deliberate, evenly spaced tapping. She says it lasted approximately 4 minutes and then stopped. She notes the time. 3:17 a.m. She describes the tapping as measured and consistent. Approximately 1 tap per second. She says it sounded like a knuckle on wood, though the outpost exterior is corrugated metal. She states that she did not go outside to investigate because it was -28 degrees, and the risk of a solo excursion in the dark was unacceptable. Log 8, March 10th. The tapping occurred again. 3:17 a.m. She was awake this time because she had set an alarm. She recorded it on her phone. Same rhythm. Same spacing. Same location on the east wall. 4 minutes and 12 seconds. She reports that she checked the exterior wall the following morning. No marks on the metal. No tracks in the snow beneath the east wall. The snowpack around the outpost was undisturbed. Whatever was tapping on the wall at 3:17 a.m. was not leaving footprints. Log 9, March 11th. The tapping occurred for the 3rd consecutive night. 3:17 a.m. 4 minutes. Same rhythm. She reports this with increasing precision. She has begun treating it as data. She has measured the interval between taps, 0.93 seconds, consistent across all 3 nights. She has measured the duration. 4 minutes and 8 to 14 seconds, slight variation. She notes that the consistency suggests a mechanical source, but there is no mechanical equipment within range of the east wall. She does not speculate. But she adds something new. She has decided not to look out the east window during the tapping. She does not say why. Log 10, March 12th. 4th consecutive night. 3:17 a.m. 4 minutes, 11 seconds. 0.93 second interval. She reports it in the same measured tone. But this log includes a new detail. The automated motion sensors on the outpost exterior triggered during the tapping. 3 motion alerts on the east-facing sensor between 3:17 a.m. and 3:21 a.m. She checked the camera feed linked to that sensor. The camera showed nothing. The frame captured the east wall, the snow, and the tree line beyond. The motion sensor triggered 3 times. There was nothing in the frame. No animal, no person, no shadow, no movement. The sensor detected motion. The camera did not record a source. She records the discrepancy without explanation. Log 11, March 12th, evening entry. This is the first time Dr. Vasic has recorded a second log in a single day. Her tone is still measured, but faster, less deliberate. She went to check sensor 4 on the eastern perimeter. This is the closest sensor to the outpost, approximately 300 meters into the tree line. She has checked this sensor multiple times without incident. Today, she found the snow around the sensor had been disturbed, not tracks. A circle, approximately 2 meters in diameter. Perfectly round. The snow inside the circle was compressed flat, as if something heavy had been pressing down evenly across the entire area. The sensor itself was untouched. There were no tracks leading to or from the circle. The compressed snow existed in isolation. Log 12, March 13th. The tapping continued. 3:17 a.m. But it was no longer on the east wall. It was on the roof. Same rhythm. Same interval. Same duration. But directly above her. She reports this with controlled alarm. The sound on the roof was louder. Not dramatically, but perceptibly, as if the source had moved closer. She reports that she did not set an alarm. She was already awake. She has been awake at 3:17 a.m. for the past several nights. Log 13, March 13th afternoon. Second entry of the day. She checked the roof of the outpost. No marks. No impressions. No damage. No tracks on the roof or the ladder. But she found something else. On the roof, positioned near the center, directly above where she sleeps, there was a small circle of compressed frost. About 15 centimeters in diameter. Perfectly round. The frost was not melted. It was compressed, flattened, as if something had been pressing down on the roof from above. A smaller version of the circle she had found at Sensor 4. Log 14, March 14th morning. She called the satellite phone. She reached the forestry camp 90 kilometers south and requested early extraction. She told them the equipment was functioning correctly and the data collection was on schedule, but that she was experiencing circumstances she could not explain. They told her the earliest they could send a vehicle was March 25th. 11 days. The access road was partially snowed in, and the crew that maintained it was deployed on another project. She asked about helicopter extraction. They told her it was not available for non-emergency requests. She asked what constituted an emergency. They said injury or imminent threat to life. She did not describe what was happening at the outpost as an imminent threat to life. She could not explain it. Tapping on the wall. Circles in the snow. A motion sensor triggering on nothing. These are not descriptions of danger. They are descriptions of something present, something patient, something interested. She could not point to a moment where it had threatened her, so she could not justify an extraction. She was told to continue her deployment. She acknowledged the instruction. The call ended. Log 15, March 14th, midday. She checked the acoustic data from the previous night. The silence window had expanded. It was no longer confined to sensors 4, 5, and 6. All 12 sensors in the grid recorded absolute silence between 2:30 a.m. and 3:45 a.m., 1 hour and 15 minutes. Every microphone in a 4 square kilometer grid captured nothing, as if the entire forest surrounding the outpost, in every direction, simultaneously stopped producing sound. At the center of that silence, at 3:17 a.m., something tapped on her roof. Log 16, March 14th, evening. This entry is short. She states that she has decided to stay awake through the night. She has positioned herself at the desk in the main room with the recording equipment active. She has a clear line of sight to the east window and the north window. She has closed the curtain on the east window. She does not explain why. She says she will record anything that occurs. Log 17, March 14th, 11:47 p.m. She reports that the forest is quiet. Not silent. Quiet. She can hear wind. She can hear the occasional crack of a branch under snow load. Normal nighttime sounds. She says she is reviewing acoustic data from previous deployments. She is looking for precedent. She finds none. No other station in the network had reported anything similar. She says, with a tone that sounds resolved, "I think it is only here." Log 18, March 15th, 2:44 a.m., 1 minute before the silence window, the forest has gone quiet. Not the normal quiet, the absence. No wind, no animals. Only the equipment hum and her breathing. She says it feels like the outpost is inside something. She waits. She does not speak for several minutes. At 3:17 a.m., the tapping begins. On the roof. Same rhythm, same interval. Louder. Not dramatically, but enough. She says the vibration travels through the structure and she can feel it in the desk under her hands. The tapping continues. Then it stops. 4 minutes. She exhales. She says it is consistent. Then she says, "I am going to open the east curtain." There is a pause. About 10 seconds. You hear her chair move. Footsteps. 3 steps. Then the sound of fabric being pulled aside. Silence. A long silence. 15, maybe 20 seconds. She is standing at the window, looking out. She does not speak. Then she closes the curtain. She returns to the desk. She does not describe what she saw. She says quietly, "Log 18 complete." Log 19, March 15th. The timestamp is 3:14 a.m., 3 minutes before the tapping window. Dr. Vasic is at the desk. The recording equipment is active. Her voice is calm, measured. There is no fear in it. She does not sound like someone in danger. She sounds like someone who has arrived at an understanding. She begins describing what she can see through the east window. The curtain is open. She describes the snowfield, the tree line, the distance. Then she says, "It is at the tree line." She does not describe it, only that it is there, facing the outpost. She says it is closer than last night. She is quiet for a moment. You can hear her breathing. Steady. Controlled. She says, "I think it has been coming closer every night. I think the tapping is not it trying to get in. I think the tapping is it measuring the distance. Each night it is closer. Each night the tapping is louder. Not because it is tapping harder. Because it is nearer." She pauses. Then she says, "It is moving now. It is crossing the snow. It is not walking. It is," and she stops. Mid-sentence. The word never arrives. The recording continues. 40 minutes and 11 seconds. No voice. No movement. No sound. As if she stopped existing between one word and the next. The recording ends when the system power fails. The maintenance crew arrived at the outpost on March 25th. The interior was orderly. Dr. Vasic's personal effects were undisturbed. Her boots by the door. Her coat on the hook. Her truck in the clearing. No sign of her. The acoustic sensor data showed the silence anomaly continued after March 15th. Same time window. Then expanding. Until it covered 6 hours each night. Then, on March 21st, it stopped. Normal sound returned. Whatever had been there was gone. Or it had gotten what it came for. We have not been able to verify any element of this story. If you have information about Outpost 7, the monitoring station network, or Dr. Lena Vasic, contact us. We are listening. And if you are working alone in a remote station tonight, somewhere in the northern wilderness, and you hear a tapping on the wall at 3:17 a.m., do not open the curtain. She opened it, and now she is gone.